Hello and welcome to this next tutorial in pygame. So when I left you at the end of last tutorial, we had a window opening up and we could see the events happening when we moved our mouse around the screen. So the next step is to draw a player object to the screen and then to get it to move around. Now anything in your game display is going to have an X coordinate and a Y coordinate, and we're going to be changing that X and Y coordinate according to a button press to move the game player actually around the screen. So the first thing to do is to set up a starting position for your player. So I've just called my variables move X and move Y because we're going to be moving the X coordinate and the Y coordinates, X to go left and right, Y to go up and down, by a set value. I've just initialized these at 0, 0 just to show you that in pygame that 0, 0 is actually the very top left of the screen, and then as you add to the Y it comes down the screen, as you add to the X it comes to the right of the screen, and similar, if you minus from the X it goes back to the left, if you minus from the Y it goes up. Now that might seem a bit counterintuitive, but if you understand that 0, 0 is the top left, it starts to make sense. So first thing to do, set up your variables at the top of your code for X and Y. Okay, now we can move down. You've got this code. Right, so this is our next block of code to add. This is new for this tutorial. So the first thing we need to do is we write another if statement directly in line with the first one and inside the event loop. Now this time we're going to check if the type of event is a key pressed down. Then we check if the event key is equal to the left arrow being pressed. We're going to change X by -5. So we just go move X minus equals 5. That's shorthand for going move X equals move X minus 5. It's just a quicker way of writing it. We then check if the event key is equal to the right arrow key. We move X by +5. And then if the event key is up, we move Y by -5. As I mentioned, minus goes up the screen. And finally, if the event key is down, we add 5 to the Y, which will bring it down the screen. Now the next thing we're going to do down here, this command will fill the game display with the colour black. That will give us our background. On top of that, we then draw our rectangle for our player. So we use pygame.drawRect. That will draw a rectangle on the game display. The color is going to be white. We could change that to blue or red. Now this is the X and this is the Y coordinate where it's going to be drawn. So by adding to that with a key press or minusing, we can move it left and right. And again, the Y value we can add to it and subtract to it in our little loop here to move it again up or down the screen. Finally, 50 and 50, that gives you the length and the width of the rectangle. Lastly, we update the display, each go through the loop, just to keep redrawing it as we're pressing on our arrow key and moving it around the screen. Now the reason why I've got this fill here first is because if we don't have this, when we move our square, basically what will happen is you'll get the same square drawn again and again, so it will draw like a line of squares. It won't ever delete the previous square. But by filling the screen with black, each go through the loop, it means the previous drawn square gets erased and it just gives the illusion of movement. That's it for today. So lastly, I'll just show you the code working. Right, so here we have our code. As you can see, 0, 0 in the X and the Y is indeed top left, and now as I tap my button I can move my player around the screen. So that's good. It's not perfect, but it's a good start. Your next job will be to draw another rectangle on the screen. You can probably see how to do it here. You'll need a different variable for that X and Y, and then to check if they collide. There's a PowerPoint in the Year 9 student folder to have a look at, which will give you some hints on how to do that. So go through the PowerPoint next and have a look, see if you can work out how to draw another square and how to check if your player actually collides with the other square. And one more improvement to do is try and think about how you could keep this moving whilst the key is pressed down. That will again mean you don't have to keep tapping, it will give it the illusion of velocity. If you can't work it out, don't be afraid to research the problem online, have a look at some examples of code online and see if you can work through and get a solution. Lastly, I'd like you to get a score variable printing to the top of the screen every time your square collides with the enemy square. Okay, well have fun and see you next time. Bye for now.